conservation ministries still occasionally surprises me. After high school in Southern California, I moved to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina for college, where I studied outdoor education and environmental studies. I envisioned a life spent outdoors, maybe as a camp director or park ranger. I'd always experienced God's presence in nature, whether backpacking in the Grand Canyon, rock climbing at Joshua Tree, or exploring Venezuela's rainforests, where my missionary family spent most of my childhood. During college, I struggled through my botany, biology, and geology classes. More enjoyable were the hours spent learning to maneuver a canoe down a tricky section of the Catawba River, or leading a group on a backpacking trip through the Linville Gorge wilderness area. I spent 3 months with a camp ministry in Cochabamba, Bolivia, and thought I had discovered a lifelong vocation, teaching people to enjoy and care for God's magnificent creation. How God redirected me from a life outdoors to pastoral ministry in the third largest city in the country is something that still astonishes me. My wife, Maggie, and I joke about how different our life together has been than what either of us could have imagined when we were married in a chapel nestled in the Appalachian Hills. Over the years, as our church has learned to worship together and serve with our neighbors, I've occasionally wondered about the connection between my concern for creation and my call to the ministry of racial justice and reconciliation. To be honest, the differences between the two often seemed incompatible to my uncreative mind. Despite my lack of imagination, I couldn't shake the sense that I was missing an important relationship between the Christian obligations to live justly with our neighbors and to care for creation. That hunch led to many conversations with the women and men in our church community who shared their experiences of God's creation and society's injustices from their distinct cultural vantage points. I kept my eyes open for authors, theologians, activists, and artists who held care for the environment together with the quest for racial justice. Something in me resonated deeply when I stumbled onto a conversation with the cultural critic Bell Hooks and the agrarian author Wendell Berry, who observed that we are under obligation to take care of everything, and you can't be selective if you are going to take care of everything. I began noticing that some Christian communities, especially indigenous Christians, had long appreciated the connective threads running through creation care and neighbor love. In short, I slowly, too slowly, came to grasp that racial and environmental justice, to be rightly understood, must be taken together. Tangled Roots. This book describes how two of the world's great crises, systemic racism and environmental destruction, share the same tangled origins: greed, and its ravenous manifestation, theft. It also invites Christians to reclaim our unique vocation as caretakers whose worshiping presence begins repairing all that has been plundered. Disappointingly, some Christians still dispute the existence or extent of systemic racism and environmental destruction, and there is little I will say in this book to change the minds of the skeptical. More hopefully, increasing numbers of Christians acknowledge these injustices and have found in their faith the motivation to seek justice for their neighbors and the earth itself. These women and men join others whose personal experiences of exploitation and subsequent biblical reflection on those experiences have fostered the wisdom and resilience needed to survive societies built on greed. While more and more people are concerned about justice as a matter of faith, many still miss the connection between the wealth extracted from racialized communities and wrung from exploited land. We miss the relationship between living in harmony with our neighbors and with the ecosystems we share. We think of these as discrete catastrophes with little overlap. Advocates for justice will understand the need for racial and environmental repair, but this is different from understanding the origins and animating assumptions they share. How do we do this? How do we hold together two of the most urgent justice concerns of our day in a way that brings harmony to both? At the outset, I should admit